You know the feeling. You block out an entire 8-hour day to tackle a massive project, but by the time you finally step away, your energy is gone, and the actual work you got done amounts to practically nothing. We usually respond to these days by trying to squeeze our schedules even tighter. We stack up time blocking techniques and productivity apps, yet the effort required to micromanage every minute drains our cognitive battery before we even start. This exhaustion stems from a disconnect between how we plan our days and how our biology actually functions. By attempting to force our brains onto a rigid timeline, we are essentially asking a biological machine to work against its own evolutionary design. Look at this diagram. That glowing blue region is your prefrontal cortex. It's the newest part of your brain, responsible for long-term planning, logical thinking, and suppressing distractions. It requires a massive amount of energy to keep running. Because it consumes so much fuel, the prefrontal cortex burns out quickly over the course of a normal workday. Once that logical center is depleted, an older, more reactive piece of hardware takes control. This pulsing red node is your amygdala. Your amygdala operates strictly on survival and fear. In a modern office setting, that biological fear response translates into a desire for safe distractions, shutting down your ability to handle complex, creative thoughts. Traditional time management systems often ignore this biological handoff between logic and fear. They assume your brain will perform exactly the same at hour 8 as it did at hour 1. An exhausted brain lacks the energy required to sustain logic. It defaults to procrastination because that is the path of least resistance when your biological battery is low. The adult brain is not a static machine. It operates through a process called neural plasticity, which means it is constantly changing its own structure based on how you use it. Take a look at this connection. Every time you execute an action, a sequence of neurons fires across a pathway. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Repeating actions coats the pathway with insulation, making that circuit easily fire again. Productivity is the result of building these pathways. It's less about maintaining a schedule and more about constructing the internal infrastructure needed for focus. A warning tone. That plasticity is always recording, even when we repeat habits that actively hurt our goals. When you force yourself to stare at a screen while mentally exhausted, you are strengthening the neural pathways associated with stress and anxiety. Every time you choose to scroll through your phone instead of starting a task, you are reinforcing your brain's procrastination circuit, making it a more efficient response the next time you sit down to work. To build circuits for deep, focused flow instead, you have to approach your work in a calm, intentional mental state, one where the prefrontal cortex has the energy to lead. Ignoring your mental state turns these distractions into a practiced habit. Over time, these repeated choices make focus more difficult to achieve tomorrow. Managing your mind begins by clearing out mental clutter. Think of it like washing a bowl at night. You clean it so dust doesn't settle, ensuring a clean slate ready for the morning. Daily meditation serves this exact cleaning function for your mind. Taking just a few minutes to sit quietly reduces the background noise that triggers your reactive amygdala, giving your logical brain the rest it needs. Even with a rested brain, starting a task often feels agonizing because the specific neural pathway required for that work isn't fully active yet. You can overcome this using the 10-minute spark. By committing to just 10 minutes of work, you generate enough momentum to overcome initial friction and activate those targeted neurons. By deliberately resting your mind and then forcing a tiny microstart, you bypass resistance and trigger a state of deep work. The human brain is not a machine to be programmed. It operates much more like a hyperactive puppy. It doesn't respond to rigid schedules. It responds to simple limitations and gentle, consistent training. This requires a strategy of state alignment. You train your brain by tackling analytical, high-focus tasks only when you are naturally sharp and stepping away to rest the moment your energy drops. When you organize your tasks based on your current mental state, rather than what hour it is on the clock, you eliminate the internal battle between your reasoning and your biological fear response. Working with your biology instead of fighting against it allows deep, uninterrupted focus to become your default reflex. This chart highlights the outcome of this approach. That single glowing column on the left represents 2 hours of highly focused work aligned with the correct mental state. It will easily outproduce the long, fragmented bar on the right, 8 hours of forced, grueling procrastination. By repeating these small, concentrated blocks of aligned work, you change the physical structure of your brain. Over time, getting started on your most difficult projects feels effortless. Drop the obsession with strict calendars, ticking clocks, and time-saving hacks that only leave you feeling exhausted. Focus on the biology of focus. Manage your mind and let your neural pathways do the heavy lifting.